Next week on Thursday, Chapter 38, Turn Back Time. Once again I sought refuge in my enchanted woods, on the crying rock by the stream. I hiccuped and sobbed my way through hour after hour, as the sound of my pitiful prayers merged with the burble of the stream. I had to find a copyright lawyer, and desperation made me frantic. A volley of inquiries and frenzied phone calls led from one dead end to another. I finally located a downtown type and retained her services without pausing to deliberate. She charged $400 an hour. $400. Beggars cannot be choosers. It was not the time for penny pinching. If Miss Heather Murdoch came to her own conclusions regarding the reasoning behind Gloria Wiseman's conduct, she kept her thoughts to herself. She was a seasoned professional, a large and dispassionate woman. She seemed to know what she was about. In the interest of economy, I prepared a sheaf of typewritten sheets detailing the timeline of my case. Time was money, $400 an hour, and it would take my new legal representative hours I couldn't afford to go through the contents of my file. "I want this case closed," I announced flatly. "I have $5,000. That's all." "It can be done, no problem," she assured me. "First, I'll have to contact your former lawyer's office for your files." An irate Heather Murdoch phoned me the next day. "I just spoke to Chuck, what's-his-name. Your files are being withheld until your account is paid up, $28,000 plus." "But I told you, Heather, I'm all paid up, and—" "I know, but he's not buying it. I called Gloria Wiseman as well. What's-his-name gave me the number. Same story. No can do, money owing." I explained all over again as best I could. The convoluted details of the tacky tale sounded bizarre in my own ears. "So tell me again, why is she doing this?" I squirmed. "I don't know, Heather. I really thought Gloria and I were friends. I even offered to take my turn in a round-the-clock caregiving roster. She appreciated that, and I—" "You don't owe any money, and Mrs. Wiseman claims you do." I writhed inside. I know, it sounds crazy. I don't know what else to say. "Oh, I get it. Revenge," my new lawyer commented dryly. "We'll just have to get copies from the court files." I never knew if Heather Murdoch believed me or not. I didn't bother to find out. I had to let her draw her own conclusions. I had no energy left to care. I was denied access to my legal files, $20,000 worth of litigation, and had to fork out $1,000 I couldn't afford to obtain copies from the court archives. A three-way conference call between the judge and both lawyers brought my action against my former employers to a close. I put my signature to a document absolving the defendants, my ex-employers, of all wrongdoing, with an assurance that I would never attempt to sue them again in any way, shape, or form. In doing so, I denied myself the right to any compensation for the theft of my copyright and wrongful dismissal. There was no other alternative when I opted out of an expensive trial and potential ruin if the judgment didn't go in my favor. The copyright of the musical play I authored was returned to me by court order. I was also awarded half the takings from the ticket sales, a paltry $1,000 and some. The copyright number on the certificate naming my former employer as author and owner of my play was permanently deleted from public record. A few weeks later, I received a rewritten copyright certificate from the Copyright and Patent Office. It came by registered post. My work was finally mine. Owner, author, playwright. I felt deflated by a dreadful sense of anticlimax. The manuscript went into the bottom drawer of my bedside table, where it remained untouched for almost a decade. The sight of it filled me with anguish and loathing. There were two distinct issues in the action against my former employer. The labor issue belonged in provincial court. The copyright matter was under federal jurisdiction. Harold focused on protecting my copyright because, he said, I couldn't afford 2 lawsuits. The local phone book happened to fall open at the Yellow Pages one day, some years after Harold's demise. I was aghast to find staring at me the names of labor lawyers who would represent a client without requiring any cash up front, but would wait to be paid a percentage of the final settlement. I would have won outright if I had engaged such a lawyer and sued for wrongful dismissal. I should have filed 2 lawsuits. Harold's advice was erroneous. Gloria Wiseman never returned my legal files. A tax accountant now operates in the space once occupied by Wiseman and Associates. The visits from Harold in my head finally ceased. I never heard from Gloria Wiseman again. And this is an account of my personal odyssey, detailing my unwitting entanglement in the mesh of a dying man's journey. Once upon a time, not so long ago, there lived a naive, gullible woman named Selina. She persisted in wearing rose-tinted spectacles long after the rest of the world had disposed of theirs, much to the chagrin of her practical, long-suffering husband. He was a wise, kind man, who fortunately for them both wore his logical head well screwed on his shoulders. Would I do things differently if I could turn back time? I don't know. Did my friend Harold have my best interests at heart? Probably not. Did his wife have reason to be jealous? Never. There will only ever be one Harold Wiseman. He was one of my life's sweet serendipities. Unforgettable. The end.